Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast. Be your host, Imperial Dane. We're off to a Monday Novice fight. We're off to a 2 versus 2 on Moscow outskirts. We'll be watching Smug. 4 does not compute. Instead, he'll be Smug. Smug here, fighting with Spearhead, Elite Troops, and Assault Support. His friend, The1, fighting with also with Elite Troops, it would seem. At the very least, Nassa here, fighting with Conscript Support. And SovietStandard with Guards, Rifles already here. There's vast majority of doctrines already been chosen. The Germans here fighting for the SS Panzerbrigade Groß versus Nassa and the SovietStandard here fighting for the Soviet Union and the 20th Rifle Corps. So far, the only one who has not chosen doctrine here is Smug. Grenadiers, following up by an MG42. Grenadiers arriving for his friend The1. Moving towards the west and right hand side. So it's also spreading out. No buildings so far for the Soviets, just lots and lots of conscripts, comrades. Lots of conscripts. MG42 arriving there. Second Grenadier squad for The1. So far, alles ordentlich. Another Grenadier squad there, Grenadiers, immer mehr Grenadiere. One there being secured by a stalwart and stoic squad of Deutsche Soldaten. There we go, first engagement between Smug's Grenadiers and Nassa's conscripts, running straight up to them though. Hardly the most effective thing. I mean, utilize cover. Also note, if you're moving, you're shooting less active with the rifle. Also, more importantly, right here I'll just pause to briefly explain, you're exposing your backs. For starters, your troops can't shoot, while they have your back to the opponent. So of course this is pretty much free shots for your opponents. So overall this is perhaps not the wisest idea to sort of start out with. And there you go, continuing from the other side. Overall here a bad movement there from Smug. Over here Grenadiers versus conscripts. Note again, cover is directional. In this case, for example, these gentlemen won't benefit much from it. Moving closer there though, Grenadiers are getting overwhelmed by Nassa's conscripts. Smug, and there we go, Smug's Grenadier getting molotoved already. Need to fall back here. Overall rather poor. Where is the MG42? Where is the other Grenadier squad? Why was he not supporting these Grenadiers? Why is he not retreating? Rückzug! Zurückzufallen! And right there again, poor unit preservation. That is the ability to actually determine when is a fight going to be going your way and when it's just about time to pull back here. And really, it should have been easily clear to him once the two conscripts were regaining one Grenadier squad, he should have retreated. Also, why he was doing this is utterly beyond me. Why he wasn't able to MG42 a support weapon supporting his infantry is also a good question. Right here again, a lot of bad mistakes from Smug. And overall costing him a Grenadier squad while only getting 3 conscripts in return. And same here, we're seeing basically the Russians overwhelming the Germans. Grenadiers being forced back here with heavy losses. Elite troops are being utilized by The1, training up those Grenadiers to vet 3. Already another Grenadier squad on the way. These Grenadiers need to pull back again. I mean, we see him again ignoring cover, moving out into the open despite being shot at by a lot of troops, trying to move the MB42, but he's most likely to lose the Grenadiers again. Poor unit preservation, poor use of cover. I mean, cover matters. Cover, cover, cover. It's been sometimes I had to sort of point that out. Then again, cover matters. Positioning your troops matters. And right here we do see someone who's pulled out, and there we go, standing right in the Molotov. Losing men, and of course quickly getting these conscripts. Veterans 1. Man engaging here, overall looking pretty bad for the Germans initially. Heavy losses have been inflicted, in particular on Smug, who has suffered insanely much there. Already 2 Grenadier squads are lost, and at what cost? He's gotten 4 conscripts in return.
We have new units.
That is not good at all. More Grenadiers arriving here. I mean, he's just getting more and more. We're also seeing another MG42 out.
Fire support.
But again, over here, he's suffered immensely. And he's so far the one who's lost the most, and he's the Germans. Now he's getting elite troops as well. Hardly inspiring here. Pioneers getting cut off and surrounded from several sides. Need to rotate as well. Zurückzufahren. Schnell. Going in there. Large Soviet force moving in. Seems to be a bit of blob maneuvering here from Nassa. And again, try to avoid blobbing up. In particular when playing as a surge, because then it's really easy for an MG42 to lock you down. Also note, the closer men are to each other, the more damage the MG42 actually does. I mean, there's a small incremental accuracy bonus, so the closer the more conscripts are to each other, I mean, basically the more effective the MG42 comes here. Ooh, running into it, one fix, and there we go, just suppressed. MG42 near here, pretty much having a shooting gallery. Shoot, Heinz, shoot! Say like ducks in a pond, or something like that. Either way, just shoot! In this case, they managed to get close enough, but even then, they took a bit of a beating here. Heavy losses. Need to fall back, though, against Rücksufang. At the same time, having some luck here. Can't be taking heavy losses. Retreating here. MG42, they're getting cleared out. Grenadiers rushing back. Large engagement again. Blobbing action also from the one. MG42 lost. Unit preservation is still rather rubbish from either German player. Grenadiers need to retreat. There we go. Grenadiers veteran deploy doing their best as well, but they're rather out in the open. The guards, by the way, with DPs also, doing more damage that way. Grenadiers walking straight past the conscript, again taking lots of damage before even doing any. Another Molotov there. More troops moving in to respond, but again, heavy losses, heavy losses. Conscript squad actually went down. Grenadiers forced away. But overall, poor unit preservation, which ultimately also results in poor map control here for the Germans. They barely hold anything at the moment. Time to leave Smug and head over to the one. Who's already taking heavy damage. He could upgrade some of his weapons with the light machine guns or Gewehr 43s. We already here seeing that Nassa's upgrading his conscript with the submachine gun, the PPS-841. Whoops, not sure where that sound came from. Tools moving out, another MG42 here for the one. This one, by the way, has not been recruited, surprisingly enough, so far, but so it's standard. I mean, he should quickly do with the Guards infantry. And then have a go at that. Lots of mines going up here. Good, good. A bit of butt while being intimidated here by SovietStandard.
MG42 team is ready for action.
Bet 3 grenadiers equipped with a light machine gun, not a bad idea. Pioneers moving straight into the mine and almost wiped out. They need to fall back. Lots of saying about, and we're seeing a massive force moving in from Nassa. Lots of conscripts with submachine guns. PPS-841s for everyone. And certainly the Soviets were, as the war progressed, greater and greater users of submachine guns for their forces. Initially, it was basically one company in the entire division, something like that, would be equipped like that. And then, of course, as the war progressed, I mean, it would be rarer and rarer to actually see someone with rifles at all. MG42 again, secure, but nothing to cover it. Molotovs and just hordes of conscripts moving in. Conscripts getting shredded by the MG42. MG42 coming up here. Again, another blob move. Also remember to shift targets, which he isn't, meaning his MG42 is getting overwhelmed. Conscripts here, though, could get wiped out, but at the same time he's likely to lose another MG42. Troops over here taking heavy losses. MG42 setting up there to provide covering fast, stopping the Soviet horde from advancing too far. And there go conscripts, murdered, dead, tot, nicht mehr. Over here continuing to be suppressed here by the MG42, firing in, bullet after bullet. The buzzsaw, as was known.
Every man has fear. Fight and keep each other.
And a stun grenade there from the Grenadiers. At the same time pushing up here, MG42 Grenadiers doing a bit of damage here, catching all the troops. A quick roll the other left and get out, but they could pop in a stun grenade on them. There we go, they're moving in. Both squads there pinned. Again, why I don't want to be blobbing up, but again, Nassa seems to be a bit of a blobber here overall, not the most effective use of infantry. Rather poor tactics overall. To put it mildly. Consider rushing straight to the MG42, veterans one. He could consider using incendiary armor piercing round here, but no, gets cleared out. But at the same time, the losses Nassa are suffering are also massive. But again, the Germans are also suffering heavily already. Panzerist Pioneers MG42s get moving, grab some territory. I mean, so far, the Germans haven't held a fuel point, I think, for even one bit here. The troops are bleeding out constantly, and they're barely moving the front line. Mach schnell! And there you go, veterans for the Panzergrenadier. And we're already here seeing a Tango Battalion command going up front of the place that is Nassa. MG42 has finally been recruited. Grenadiers here just needs to retreat again. I mean, he seems to be constantly playing around with the units beyond what they really can hold up to. It seems like here that Smug doesn't understand, how to play Germans at all. And certainly always does Dirk down to play the game. I mean, he's constantly throwing away units like that when he could just press T or click the retreat button. But he isn't, and there we go. That was Took, and he's got to get one he paid for veteran for and given Gewehr 43 upgrades. Just a waste, and these guys alternate retreat, but again hang around in front of the MD42 inside the church. I mean, there's so many problems here with the Germans play. But of course, at the same time, the only reason they're still holding on is because the Soviet players insist on blobbing up and running straight into the MD42s. Which ultimately results in the Soviets actually taking heavy losses every time as well. I mean, already now, I mean, all sides taking some damage, but at the same time, the surprising thing is the Germans are taking about as much kills as the Soviets. That's hardly a good sign, in fact, quite the opposite. There we go, the Panzer's veteran 2, they should actually have some kind of chance now of turning the tide here a bit. Though again, a rather misuse of the Dachshund so far, and of the German army, of German Soldaten. Rushing straight into the MD42 here, getting called up point blank, taking quite a bit of damage here, MD42 tearing into them. Getting to run, there we go, pinned down. Continuing to suffer heavily. MD42 though needs to fall back. T-34 Marine Panzer gun is in trouble. Still not a single fuel point here. Another MD42 lost. Again, poor handling of the MD42s as well. Poor pulling them back in time. And we've got so many MD42s simply cleared out of their crews and troops here being murdered in the open ground. Finally they're getting a Panzer out of their Kanone here, Mr. The One. But time to head over to Nassa. With 3 conscript squad holds having suffered quite a bit, and a T-34 now on the field here. Panzers again, retreat! Sure works so fun. Retreat, retreat, come on, get the devil out of there, finally! Fuel cache going up here to sort of help with the armour. Barely making it out of there, the fire, that's something I suppose. Securing the centre victory point, also getting that one, but again, also looks like he finally might be getting them some fuel, finally! Endlich. 34 moves in. Straight in front of the Panzerabwehrkanone 40. Panzerabwehrkanone misses. Rather unfortunate there. Second shot is the Grenadiers should not be running after the T-34. In particular not in that state. Use some of the other Grenadiers to heal them up. At the very least use some munitions. Guards MD42 here stopping the Grenadiers out in the open. Definitely a bad spot to be in. Fences falling apart.
T-34, crude loaded and ready. Yes, comrade.
T-34 moving in, MD42 needs to fall back. Here coming up fire from the MD42 and the T-34. And we're seeing incendiary artillery being called in here by Nassa. Looks like they barely make it. Pioneers forced back, still no one taking that. MD42 for the Motherland. All the right, MD42 sitting up. Veterans are free now. Actually needs to be killed by Kofron of that. That actually is rather dangerous. Panzer is with the Panzer Schrecks up. He's really been investing heavily now. They'll certainly be a bit dangerous to the T-34s. And there we go, another huge wave assault from SovietStandard again. Rather seems the way they're playing again. Little usage of cover, little use of maneuvering, positioning and all that. Just large waves of infantry just charging in at the same time. The Germans sort of run to that again. I mean, don't run up to your opponent like that. In particular not with an MG42. It doesn't shoot on the move. Just stop here and shoot. Don't run into people with submachine guns and light machine guns if you can bloody well avoid. I mean, again, very, very substandard tactics here for the Germans. Definitely not the way you play Germans right there. Panzer's moving in. Panzer's firing away. Almost getting... And again, also don't ignore the other gentleman there. Panzer's needs to retreat, retreat, retreat. Ah! Scheiße! Panzerschreck dropped already! Nein! Yet somehow the Panzers are actually winning. The conscript not pulling back. Panzers are veterancy free. Oh, Nassa, your unit preservation is also terrible. And there we go, T-34 attacking the Panzers with Panzer Schrecks, the Raketen, Panzerbüchse, blowing up and crashing into a small hut. The Panzer Schreck, by the way, was basically the Germans grabbing hold of the bazooka and pretty much going, yeah, I think we could do that better. And they did. pack has been cleared up, but still the other infantry MG42 shooting up here. The umpteenth MG42. Half check moving up. Pack here behind some sort of line. Hard to tell by now. More intense artillery calling in. I mean, the Soviets are definitely calling in a lot here from Mr. Nassa. Gun is caught by the half track and the MG42 here, the Guards MG42. Grenadiers need to fall back.
Area secured.
More troops arriving, more panzer grenadiers, more grenadiers here for Smug.
Enemy forces are attempting to capture our territory.
Going for the point there for some reason. Not going for the fuel, for example, for some reason. Really some oil priorities the Germans have at the moment.
We have a new unit.
Conscripts might fall this position in the back. That is good for the Russians, less good for the Germans, though there might be some panzers soon to object to that with some Sturmgewehr fire. And there you go, AA half-track flanking the entire position here. Panzer grenades used to recruit the Pack 40. That's rather expensive. Why not the grenadiers? There we go. Half track cleared up. Pack 40 needs to turn. And fire frei. MG42 moving away.
Brave infantry have made the ultimate
Sounds like another conscript score bit the dust in time to pop over to Soviet-Standard. He's got a more intact force also. We're seeing a howitzer being set up here to support his forces. And the 25 Corps, Pack 40 getting cleared out. Panzer Grenadiers, all that stuff moving in. And there we go, half track finally down. Trump should be pulled back. T-34 moving in, coming under fire. Panzer Grenadiers rushing here. MG42 still there, not secured by Nassa at all. Come on, man. And keeps rushing into this MG42 on the other hand, Mr. 1. I mean, really? Perhaps you should begin learning that, you know, it's still there. T-34 rushing straight into a lot of fire here. Another conscript looks about to go down. No, looks like they might make it out of there alive. And there we go, another wave assault attack. Poor positioning of the grenade there. Should have locked, you know, in the path rather than where they were. Another stun grenade. Doing a bit there. MG42 turning about. Better. Conscripts might actually risk getting wiped out here on retreat if they're not careful. They make it that far. Nope, looks like they got a bit lucky. More grenades, more everything moving in. Half tank moving up again here for SovietStandard, getting for himself finally a tank by now. Grenadiers again, moving them just to run straight at the enemy. Another pack for the 1. Going for the victory points, and definitely the Germans are already behind on victory points as well. And we've got the howitzer firing away, also getting a few kills here, clearing out the pack. Panzers need to retreat, come on, Smug! They barely got any health left, they 2 men down. The veterans, if you've got a panzer strike, don't waste them. Quick stun grenade there, failing to do anything at all. Molotov response doesn't make much of an impression either. Another panzer. Oh, this one's not being pulled back either. Come on, Smug. Germany's counting on you, but apparently shouldn't.
Your command? We are taking losses.
Conscripts here getting shredded. Another. Oh, no, this time it's actually a Sturmgewehr attack. The Soviet Air Force is moving in. And does quite a bit of damage there, but thankfully doesn't wipe out anyone. And he's moving in at barely healthy, alive Panzer Squad after the T-34. Are you out of your mind, Smug?
We are under attack. Vehicle is under attack.
T-34 flanking, alright. Another pack, though, covering the first one. Panzer bus going off here. There we go. Lots of units there wiped again, not pulling back, you know, when there's the Soviet strafing run about.
The enemy has destroyed
constant
one of
and
our
depressing unit preservation of a terrible kind. And there we go, incendiary artillery called in here. Need to fall back. Zurückzufallen. There we go. Panzergun is lost. An absolute waste of elite German troops there.
LMG team ready.
Another blob assault there from SovietStandard.
munitions depot ready.
Troops enforcing there. Munitions cache up there. Lots of cash are going up for the Russians by now. Definitely giving them the resource advantage, even as they might be losing ground a bit. Also, half take up for Smug all of a sudden. Interesting. No sign of taking up so far either, though. Larger armoured assault going in. Snipers now supporting this. Need to fall back again. Come on, Smug. Come on. Instead, he's getting them run over. There we go. Finally, but probably too late. No, looks like slightly on his side. There we go. Large blob assaulting the flank. Oh, well, it's less blobby this time around, though. Half-track moving up, coming under fire there from the Panzerkanone. The thin armour of the half-track proving pointless and useless. There you go, counter squad down again. Use cover, don't stand them out in the open. Also beware of negative cover. It makes troops easier to kill, but off to the mid-game analysis. Current situation is rather, well, less than ecstatic on both sides. Russians are sort of getting up, the Germans are getting hit, but so the Russians, I mean, the Germans are still losing a lot. I mean, in this case, it's the one who's just absolutely getting his men murdered over and over again. And he's losing more than he kills, and he's using elite troops. I mean, my God. At least, you know, Smug has something to be mildly smug about, though again, this is hardly impressive when he's got sort of more of a margin than an advantage there in terms of his kill to loss ratio. For the Soviets, I mean, Nassa needs to improve as well. Again, too many blob assaults, too poor unit preservation. SovietStandard, I suppose, slightly standard-ish in terms of kills and losses. But he's also the one doing the most damage so far out of all the players. Again, there's a lot of disproportionate, which again sort of reveal again the Germans are not very strong, but either are the Soviets. So there's definitely a lot there just to improve upon in just the unit preservation department. So much to improve upon. But moving on to other things, I mean, the current situation for the Soviets, I mean, they're still looking rather strong. On the other hand, again, they're bleeding out, and again, that's due to that poor unit preservation. And of course, at this stage, you really ought to be aware of thinking, you know, our opponents probably have gone for elite troops, both of them. So, I mean, they should probably get some more tanks at the very least to sort of prepare something to, for example, just ram the Tiger Raiders with or swarm them, or get some mechanized armor company and get some armor Su-85s up. But again, nothing so far that really seems to be indicating they're even remotely preparing for such an eventuality. They've got not even a lot of anti-tank in other departments. I mean, in many regards, I mean, they're quite vulnerable. And if the Germans were right now to actually go for some tanks, which they so far don't seem to be, I mean, they could actually push the Soviets off the field, because the Soviets actually only got T-34s to deal with any armor. So well-coordinated armor push, in particular with a bit of veterancy bought for them, could actually throw the Soviets off guard. So there's definitely some things that they could also easily stand to be improved upon there for the Soviets, and definitely they probably should consider buffing up their armor department, but also spread out their troops a bit more. Stop just moving up in one blob into the MG42s. That's actually making it a lot easier for the Germans. So that's definitely one thing they need to do. Also, more mines. There's barely any mines all of a sudden. That also needs great improvement upon. As for the Germans, get some armor. And we've finally seen some taking up there. That's something. But again, you know, get some tanks out on the field. Use troop training to at least get them somewhat combat worthy. And then push ahead for the Reich. Also, they need to also greatly improve upon the unit preservation. Also, less blobby action. Be a bit more mindful. Again, they mean they're just wasting resources left and right. Panzer kind of these veterans, free with Panzerwrecks just basically getting wasted upon the unforgiving, muddy battlefields of the Eastern Front in a rather pointless way. So that also definitely needs strong improvement upon. Otherwise, you know, secure this area. I mean, they didn't even bother taking the fuel point when they could have. Altars and mines might be of help. But overall, get some tanks out there and begin, you know, playing a bit more sensibly and begin preserving the units. It's really all they need, because if their opponents keep lobbing up, they're going to win this easily, as long as they don't keep insisting on losing more men than the Soviets. And I'm looking at you, the one who managed to lose more men than the Soviets. That's really something you should be embarrassed about. And the Oberkommando will certainly be having a word with you after this match. So, back to the fight here.
Pack crew is ready. Enemy forces are securing our
Now
territory.
being secured.
MG element ready.
Pioneers ready for anything.
G3476 moving up. Guards MD remaining here still. So far nothing to actually threaten them. Close to Veteran 2 even.
COH2 has been upgraded.
Pack moving with nothing in front of it. T-34 right there. Nothing trading, nothing to come in case of breakthrough. This other pack could turn around, of course. Then is here being overwhelmed by infantry. German positions once more in a mess. Poor tactics, poor coverage. T-34 needs to be careful. Then is he going for the victory point? They might be pushed off soon. And victory points if not looking good for the Germans still. T-34 could go down finally. At the same time, another incendiary artillery usage. Troops here being forced to catch by the half-track. That's something. At least he's using it. And another artillery strike here. T-34 down. MD-42 gaining veteran dropping from the Grenadiers. Not sure why the sniper's not pulling back there. I mean, out in the bloody open, getting shot at by gentlemen with assault rifles. Definitely not good for health, and he's just charging straight across open ground here, trying to hunt them down. 2 T-34s. Come on, Smug. And then go running straight into infantry out in the open again with troops barely any health. Come on, Smug. Retreat, unit preservation. Ah, scheisse. This time though, looks like it might actually be Nassa that still ends up losing men. And he actually managed to retreat that in time, that's something. But even then, rather crude engagements here. And then one once more just losing most of his units. He's almost lost 100 men. First munitions cast there. The Panzer's going to try and hunt down the T-34s. Support armor core might be he gets some armor and deals with the Russians somehow. And this MG-42 has still not been recruited by anyone. Who on earth would abandon an MG-42 like that? T-34's flanking in. No response here from the German player.
Don't let them flank us!
MG-42 getting easily flanked here by SovietStandard. Pack not even turning. Panzer's not moving in. There slowly. Half-track not being moved away either. Could, you know, be reinforcing the troops at the front, but no. Apparently is something Smug is not a fan of. And he's not even retreating the MG-42. He's just giving up. Oh, actually using the half-track to block. That's nice. Panzers need to retreat though and reinforce, but the half-track likely won't survive that long. Snipers opening up, Molotovs up, Panzer needs to retreat, come on! Mach schnell! And there we go, Panzer 4, Veteran 2, close to Veteran 3. Panzer is being rushed off again with heavy losses. Continues to bleed manpower as if though it was water out of a sieve. Either way though, rather poor handling. Blitzing in. Could get that half-track right there. One way. No, he's actually pulling back for some reason. He's actually pulling back. Misses. T-34's been straight to the German base. Support armor core going up. Panzer flying in. Artillery going off. Could call in a Tiger Ace, but instead it's actually the one who's calling in the Tiger Ace. And again, if they both went in for now, they'd barely have any infantry left to do anything. But even now they're losing out on victory points.
Enemy panzer has opened up.
Tiger is rolling ahead. Panzer IV on the way from Smug. And over to the 1. T-34 in dire straits there. 88mm gun ripping into the T-34. Panzer is here trying to hunt down the other T-34. Not having much luck, and there we go. Kaput. Kaput. There we go. T-34 went down to the Panzer Grenadiers. Other T-34 moving in, flanking it. Will he be trying to ram it? Will he be trying to ram it? No, apparently not. Veteran 2 Panzer IV not doing anything. Again, he could be pushing with it. He could be doing some damage. He could be doing some kills. I mean, again, no real anti-tank here from the Russians. I mean, they're extremely open to it. Extremely. Tigers, they're just tearing into the machine guns. Actually suffering engine damage, though. A bunker up there for some reason by Smug, but not even upgraded. Infantry rushed off here. No response from the Panzer IV, which again could be reaching Veteran 3 and a higher rate of fire, thus making it much more lethal. Troops here repairing, come on, moving up the Tigers, get off a shot. One really good shot, in fact, will wipe out the conscript. At least he's using conscript repairs, by the way, here, Mr. Nassa. And there we go! Just measure them dead in one hit. Unbeliever. Nassa's just bleeding out now. Both packs moving up for some reason here. Guards infantry firing away on the pack, buttoning it up. Or the Panzer IV, and also note, I mean, simply due to sheer rate of fire, they can actually do reasonable damage if the Panzer IV keeps at it like that. I mean, a lot of people tend to forget that about the Guards riflemen with anti-tank rifles. They might not do a lot of immediate damage, but again, in the longer engagement, they can actually do damage because, again, they can just shoot fast, in particular to gain veterancy. And right here, that's a veteran V Panzer IV almost getting knocked out by Guards riflemen. So don't underestimate them. Of course, don't underestimate Grenadiers of Panzers as well. Quick blinding grenade there, stunning them, ensuring the Panzer IV getting away. Panzer IV barely there, but at least veteran 3, but again, poor usage of it so far. Another Panzer IV here from Smug, veteran 2 as well. Quickly purchased and trained up. Conscripts roaring in into Panzer Grenadiers.
I'm so sick of these
Men getting murdered here. Victory points are quickly ticking down. Anti-tank grenade fails there to go through the frontal armor, but now the Panzer IV is barely operational. Pioneers should probably be repairing the Panzer IV as well. Either that or Smug should have some of his troops do it. Also, Panzer IV needs to turn around. Need to keep attacking, keep up the pressure. Nassa calling in more T-34s. Soviet players are barely decimated, but again, the German players are barely moving forward in return. They're so passive. And to, again, you know, boring tactics. There we go, victory points much soon drain out completely. Panzers moving in, Tigers moving up support. But again, the Panzers are simply out in the open and easy targets to the T-34s. Panzer moving up, Panzer Grenadiers need to take, come on, Smug! Blitzing in that Panzer IV. Panzer Grenadiers wasted again. Just ever so sad unit preservation. Panzer IV close to getting knocked out. Trying to ram, but suffering a damaged engine there from the Tigers, and there you go. Panzer IV got the T-34. Looks like either strafing run or incendiary artillery. There we go. Panzer IV is slowly being repaired, ever slowly. Combat engineers rushed off the field. By a few determined Grenadiers whilst not making a single damn move. Panzer strike could be picked up, a lot of things could be done, but again, nothing is happening.
Panzer IV, ready.
I mean, if right now, if the one was actually to get to Tiger Ace, they could probably, or I mean, Smug were to get a Tiger Ace, they could probably both roll through the Soviet base in short order. Again, damage-wise, Nassa's definitely falling behind. The one is slightly redeeming himself, but still, he's suffered more than his comrades. MG42 not looking too good either. Overall, the situation is just looking terrifying. Panzerkampfwagen field rush to the forefront once more. There is no time to waste. There we go, MG42 cleared out. Don't expose the rear! Don't expose the rear! More incendiary on the infantry. Fall back! Come on! Oh dear, and they're going to tank grenade. Panzer IV getting buttoned up. Clearing out that MG42 by the looks of it finally. Or trying to anyways. This MG42's barely been moving, by the way. They're not trying to play aggressively remotely. Artillery firing where they're on the Tiger Ace. Just keep moving the Panzer IV. Immer vorwärts. And there we go, wiped out.
Fire incoming! Man down!
Another magnificent display there of the terrible unit preservation of the Germans. Panzer avoiding with the T-34, and oh, it got rammed. Actually mobilized, but getting eventually free as that happens on the T-34. Panzer leading with the conscripts. Center victory point falling. Right land victory point not being taken by the Soviets. Looks like he might be able to actually repair that Panzer IV because the enemy's actually occupied with the Panzer. We need to fall back against Smug. Incendiary artillery being called in on the position of the Panzer IV. Can the Pioneers repair it in time? Yes, but the Pioneers need to fall back. Conscripts moving into the Panzer and it's here. There you go, T-34 down. Tiger Ace moving in as well. Misses. And rams. Killing some poor bastard in the process. There we go, Tiger immobilized. There we go, conscripts short. Again, Nassa is basically bleeding manpower. Again, I mean, the Germans might not have a good unit preservation, but Nassa is worse off. No usage of cover, and again, no timing in retreating. Also, he could at the very least try and use, for example, rapid conscription to that way sort of negate the losses he's suffering, but neither that either. Continuing to go down here for the Germans. Panzer IV rolling in. Artillery firing right there on the immobilized Tiger Ace. Pioneer's dead. Guard seems to be with a Panzer by the way. In fact, oh, 2 Panzer. That's good now for the Panzer IV. Again, poor handling of the Panzer IV's MV42. All the support here in the centre. Grenadiers MV42's moving up. Everything is just utterly collapsing now, and we'll just speed this up. Hardly anything to comment on. Another Tiger is summoned in, but simply too late. And there we go. A loss for Germany, a loss for the Reich, despite both players going for elite troops. The totally overpowered doctrine. But, you know, in many regards, I mean, we rather saw some rather severe novice mistakes again. The primary one, again, you know, poor use of cover, blobbing up, poor unit preservation again means, you know, knowing when to fall back your troops. There was generally barely any cover usage. Poor tactical maneuvering of infantry again, particularly for the Germans, basically meaning their grenadiers were largely, you know, taking a lot more damage than they actually doing because they kept exposing their backs to the Russians. Poor handling of armor when they finally got it, because again they were barely having any map presence, because again they were barely getting the units anywhere. I mean, they were suffering heavily, wasting troops left and right. I mean, there were so many mistakes being committed by them. Again, overall, I mean, they just simply lost because they kept bleeding out. and they just kept wasting men. For the Russians, I mean, that was largely the same here for Nassa. He just kept bleeding out. I mean, it was clear that it was SovietStandard carrying the fight because Nassa just kept wasting entire squads over and over and over again. No rapid conscription again, no unit preservation, which ultimately just resulted in him being combat ineffective. SovietStandard was the one sort of doing the damage. He was also blobbing up, but he was blobbing up, well, I'd hesitate to say more effectively, but at least he knew when to retreat a bit. He also got that MD-42 here, which rather helped him a bit, you know, particularly since, again, the opponents didn't even try to flank that one remotely. The howitzer proved alright as well, and overall some more decent usage of units. I mean, SovietStandard was really the better player of the mod, which again is relatively speaking, since again the rest were hardly that good. So, I rather hope you learned some lessons from this match. Hopefully you've got a clear idea of how to play the game, how not to play it, because that's, you know, what this one more illustrates more than anything. If you did want to subscribe, tell your friends, share it. If not, well, you know, send in a replay and provide some feedback in the comments. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.